This is a review of the properties of the parallelograms. Quadrilateral ABCD is a rectangle. There are statements off to the right. What I would like you to do is press pause and try to determine true or false. Once you are done, you can hit play and go on to the answers. In the rectangle, I want to just look at the false statements. Angle 1 and 2 are not congruent to each other. That only occurs in the rhombi and the squares. Also, the third statement, angle 1 is 45 degrees, that only occurs in the squares. Angle 4 is 90 degrees. The only shapes in which the diagonal lines are perpendicular are the rhombi and the squares. The next false statement is that angle 5 is congruent to angle 6. That only occurs in the rhombi and squares. The diagonal lines do not bisect the corner angles. The last false statement is that AD is congruent to CD. It looks like it based on appearance, but it's not drawn to scale. Okay, the next quadrilateral is a square, so do the same activity. Keep in mind the picture is not drawn to scale, but it is a square. All statements are true for the square, and that's because the square has all the properties of the parallelogram, the rectangles, and the rhombi. The next shape, quadrilateral ABCD, is a parallelogram only. The picture is not drawn to scale. So try to determine true and false, press pause. When you're ready, hit play. With the parallelogram, only one of these statements is true, and it's the very last statement. And that's because the diagonal lines will bisect each other in any parallelogram. But the diagonal lines are not the same length like they are in the rectangles. Okay, this is the last shape. So once again, try out these statements for the rhombus. With the rhombus, I'm going to go down through and look at the true statements. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. For any rhombus, the diagonal lines are angle bisectors. Now keep in mind, that doesn't mean that all the angles are the same. Just the opposite angles would be the same. The next true statement is that angle 4 equals 90 degrees. The diagonal lines are perpendicular in any rhombus. Angle 5 and angle 6, that was similar to the top statement. The next true statement is that AD is congruent to CD. That's true because of the definition of a rhombus, that all four sides are congruent. And the last true statement is that BE and ED are congruent, and that's because the diagonal lines bisect each other.